Hello, welcome to a new episode on our podcast. And today, if you want to learn more about cybersecurity here in the GCC area, this is the episode for you. I want to present Michael Nicolau, who is the co-founder and CEO of QSecure Technologies. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me.
Sure, definitely. First of all, thank you so much for coming to this podcast.
I appreciate the call.
Great. So, we're going to speak about cybersecurity, which is a huge deal today. You know, everyone is online, big enterprises, big companies, and we all fear of, getting hacked, getting the data leak. We have all these problems. But before we dive into talking about cybersecurity, tell me a little bit about yourself, your personal background, how you got to the world of cybersecurity.
Yeah, of course. I've been always into the telecoms industry, the telco companies. And we created a company back in 2011 to focus especially on cybersecurity. It was co-founded with another two engineers, experts in the field. And we've been working since then. So it's almost 15 years into the market. So the company was founded, as I said, in 2011, back in Cyprus. And we work with companies all over the world, Europe, US, and the GCC area. And now we have established a branch office in Dubai the last couple of years. The company focuses on the core penetration testing services and red team operations. This is where we assist companies on finding their vulnerabilities into their networks, and through the red team operations, we mimic adversaries trying to hack into their networks. Okay,
and tell me, in those 15 years that you do that, what has changed? In this field, how much the hackers and the vulnerable has become more vulnerable, more difficult to hack, or what has changed of your work, let's say?
At the beginning, it was a slow start. 15 years ago, security was not taken that seriously, only from big companies, not that regulated companies into the market. But we've seen an exponential growth the last 5 years, especially post-COVID, when people and companies started remote working. They had to open up their defenses. Their perimeter is not the physical perimeter anymore. The perimeter is the whole internet. And with the introduction of AI, we can see more sophisticated attacks onto the companies.
Can you give me an example of an interesting attack that you've seen recently?
Interesting attack. I've seen very targeted attacks, mimicking the actual sender of the email. If you can recall back 2-3 years ago, you were getting spam emails, and before opening, you could say, this is a spam, I'm gonna delete it. Now it's very personal, it's very direct, it's using native language. Before, let's say, I'm Greek, so it was very difficult for someone to get into Google Translate and write exactly as Greeks speak. It was, pointed out very early into the conversation. Now AI is doing that job for them. So we've seen attacks where a lot of hundreds of thousands of money were deposited into a bank that was not supposed to happen because of a phishing email, very well crafted by AI, and nobody could see the difference. That's a problem. We also now see a lot of sophisticated tools that can be written from not so good engineers, let's say security engineers, with the use of AI. You can have no-code scripts running with very sophisticated attacks. So this is what you have to tackle at the moment in the industry.
Interesting. And you're talking about the GCC area, and we are living in this space for a couple of years. I'm living in this space. You are coming into this space as well, and we're seeing a lot of spams, a lot of spam calls, a lot of trying to a lot of things like that, trying to steal money from people through phone calls, through emails, through also of mimicking to other person or other people or other regional authorities in the area. What is your services, has to do with that, with helping, enterprises avoid these kind of things?
It's a lot of things. First of all, companies have to see their compliance posture. They have to have very robust policies from the executive level and push towards the rest of the company. This is very important. Without policies, without governance, you cannot go far, especially in this new era of cybersecurity. In addition to that, you have to review your infrastructure. You have to review it frequently. So one of the services that we offer, and we say it's one of the most important services that you have to do before any penetration testing, before any other engagement, is to review your architecture, make sure that you improve the security of your networks, of your systems, of your people, of your processes, cloud infrastructure, and so on. Harden them, and then go to the next level, which is penetration testing. Monitoring. You have to have monitoring into your network. Even if you do a thorough penetration testing today, tomorrow it's like you didn't do it. So you have to monitor for behavior anomalies into the network, alerts, and be able to remediate those and do threat detection when needed. Also, you have to close the gap between technology and the management. Management doesn't speak security. Management doesn't speak technical. Technical people don't speak business. They cannot communicate the risks very well. So what you have to do, you have to bridge that gap between the two silos of the company. The management has to identify the risks behind every investment. So this is where we also come in, and we try to explain in simple language what's needed, why it's needed, what risks is going to reduce, and why.
And if we're already talking about compliance, what kind of advices you can give to companies that tries, to create compliance, to advert that into the company?
Okay, first of all, we've seen a lot of UAE companies and GCC companies trying to expand their operations into the European markets. So the first thing that companies have to do, they have to embed GDPR by design. That means that you have to have the correct workflows into your systems to do data minimization. You have to have consent management and subject access request into your processes, which is something that is not followed now in the GCC. You have personal data all over the place. You have biometrics. You have things that they are not allowed into the EU without any approved from the governing bodies. It's very important to get local legalized cancellation. So every European country might be different from another one within the EU. So you have to follow some sectoral rules like e-health, e-privacy, PSD2. So you have to get expert advice on that subject as well. And there are also some certifications that companies have to get certified to, like ISO 27000. There are some other EU-US privacy shields. I don't know if it's in place anymore. And other regulations that encompass Europe, and like DORA, Digital Operational Act Resilience Act, NIS 2, and other regulations.
And those, if you're not following these regulations, if you're not following these laws, the company may face huge fines, right? It's something that can be really damaging, especially the financial side.
Exactly. Every regulated entity have their oversight bodies. Just to mention, for GDPR, for example, which is more general and covers most of the companies, EU companies, you can get a fine up to 4% of your global revenue.
Wow.
Which might be huge for big enterprises.
Amazing. And those things, they're also regulating those things very, very heavily, which means the EU and its regulating bodies, they check the companies, they check the data breaches. They of course follow a lot of online news and tips they are getting from users, when we know that as well. So it's something that you really need to be ahead of those things.
You have to be ahead. You have to have a CISO to consult you, to consult the C-level executives. You have to have a DPO, digital protection officer, to oversight the activities of the company in related, let's say, to GDPR. And at the same time, you have to show to the authorities that you've taken all the possible measures to protect. No one is unhackable. I mean, it can happen to a lot of companies, but you have to demonstrate that you adhere to all the policies, that you are following the best standards, best practices to protect those data. And the fine goes down. So it depends on the case.
Definitely.
Also, companies that are wishing to move to EU, they have to see about data localization and sovereign clouds, which are approved data centers that they can host applications that governments are using. So you have to look for the German Cloud Act or the French Cloud Défense. So these are very localized things that you have to follow when you want to come across to Europe.
Okay, so it's also very important tips. Let's come back to cybersecurity a little bit, because it's also something that a lot of even medium-sized or even small companies are trying to look at, because we all understand what is the meaning of a cyber attack. And you mentioned policies within the organization. You're basically saying that the worst threat that can be is actually within the company itself. It's one email, one text message that can create huge breach in the organization. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. The important thing is to protect your critical assets, your data, and things like that. We see a lot of attacks like ransomware or double extortion. This is where attackers hack into the network, they steal data, they delete backups, and then encrypt all the data, and they demand millions into ransom, into bitcoins, and things like that. So you have to be prepared with offsite backups, immutable backups, and so on. Insider threats is also a big issue, as you started your question. This is where you have disgruntled staff who want to make damage to your company. So you have to protect from the inside. And you also have the negligent employees who click. They like to click whatever they see, which is also another problem. So whatever investment you put into your company, that click can
demolish it,
demolish
right?
everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So the human factor is the most important one. And we've also seen things that you cannot control. For example, supply chain attacks. I don't know if you remember the SolarWinds case where hackers hacked into SolarWinds. They changed the software and they deployed their malware into all of the organizations that were using SolarWinds. That had a huge impact to the market. From the IT industry, the MSP industry, we had two major breaches the last 3-4 years. The first one being in 2021, Kaseya. Kaseya is a US-based a company that offers remote management and monitoring tools on-premise and cloud. And their VSA, their management platform, was compromised. That meant that all of their customers, IT companies, got compromised, and subsequently all of their customers of the IT companies were compromised. So we're talking about millions of users that have been hacked through one single data breach. Same happened last month also in May. ConnectWise, Remote Connect, Screen Connect tool, which is also an RMM, Remote Management and Monitoring tool, got hacked. Very similarly to Kaseya. So we see that the top players into that space got hacked. Let's say there are 5 top companies. The 2 of the top 5 were hacked into the last few years. And this is a never-ending story. Hackers try to hack the suppliers so they can get easier access into the customers. And we also have things that we cannot avoid, like APTs, advanced persistent threats. These are nation-state groups like Charming Kitten, APT 33. They hack into critical infrastructures, into governments, and they stay low, undetected, with very sophisticated zero-day tools, and try to exfiltrate data, intelligence, all the information they can find. We've attended some incident response where APTs were found into the networks, and we found logs going back 3-4 years. So those APTs were sitting into the network, hidden below the radar for 4 years, or probably more. We don't know. I mean, at some time you lose also the events and the logs. So it's very important.
So it can also, be silent till, for years and until they choose to attack. Wow, that's so scary actually, because maybe some of our listeners have a company right now, have this, Trojan horse within the company, and they don't even know that it's gonna burst on someday. And let's talk about the solutions. What your company, what your service can actually, how it monitor those events, how it can, as you said, you can mimic attacks, right? Like an hacker, and find those weakness in the security. What is your company can help with that?
As I said before, you start with the compliance part. You have to do your governance. You have to create your policies. You have to educate your employees based on those policies that they have to follow them, and to have the control of the human factor. After that, you have to do an assessment. You assess the network, you sit with the IT departments, with experts of the company, and you do a gap analysis. What they are missing, what they have to improve, how are they doing on network security systems, and so on. Then we create a roadmap, a remediation roadmap. Okay, what things can be fixed very easily, the low-hanging fruits, to improve our security posture? What we have to invest into the next 1 or 2 years to improve our security? Those are the more expensive things. Monitoring, as I said, having SOC services, monitoring your network and doing threat intelligence is very important. A few years ago, that was only for the premium companies. Now it's becoming a commodity. It's like an antivirus. Antivirus now are not that
no one is using antiviruses anymore.
You have EDRs, you have all those sophisticated security tools. SOC is the same. It's part of the security stack. You have to do penetration tests to identify any gaps missing from your security, internally, externally, and cloud. You have to run an ongoing phishing simulation, trying to see how well educated and prepared are your users, and try to improve them through security awareness trainings. And also, if they know that they get phished all the time, even from the internal IT department, they are more cautious before they click. And at the end, you have to optimize. Optimization comes through tabletop exercises with the management and different stakeholders, operations, finance, where, let's say, you do a tabletop exercise like, okay, now we have ransomware. What do we do? What are the playbooks? So we craft custom playbooks for every scenario, even that is ransomware, even that is a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack. Some employee deleted something intentionally, so we built all the playbooks and we test them regularly to improve them. Because, as I said, companies are not static, they are dynamic, they change. So you have to improve your processes to be able to tackle these issues immediately.
Definitely. And you mentioned also a chain of supply, and also, as you said, companies are dynamic. And a lot of companies are working with providers. Okay, you mentioned the cloud providers. It can be, a remote control softwares, all those things. How important is it is for a company to check its providers' methodology, its providers' ways of work, ways of security, to make sure that it won't be breached to the providers?
You have to ask for demonstrable outcomes. What do I expect after we engage into a cooperation for testing our network? What do I expect after that? So you have to have before and after metrics. Okay, you found this, and this. After the engagement, what changed? What was improved? That's very important. You have to see the provider, cybersecurity provider, has to demonstrate their technical and compliance credentials. Do they follow best practices, which is ISO 27000, PCI DSS, if you are a payment bank? Are they part of any bodies like ISACA, ISC Square, and so on? This is very important. Transparency and communication throughout the process is very important. You have to have clear SLAs, service level agreements, what's expected and when. What are the escalation paths if something is found during the engagement? You have to have regular reporting cadences on the findings, and the ability to translate, as I said before, the technical findings into business risks. Okay, we found this vulnerability. Okay, so what? How does that impact my business? What risks are behind that vulnerability? So you have to demonstrate that to the management. And also, when you engage with a cybersecurity company, you have to see if you're a cultural fit. If it's not an ad hoc project that you engage a cybersecurity company to do a pen test, a one-time project, and you go on a co-managed security services or SOC, you have to make sure that your cultures fit to each other. Else it's not going to work.
Definitely. It's a very important tips you gave there. Okay, so Michael, I want you to know, from your experience of over 15 years doing that cybersecurity, can you share with us one of your case studies of one company that you helped, stay safe and secure?
Okay, I have quite a few throughout these years. I can mention a few of the last 3-4 years. In the end of 2021, we got a call from a company that they were not a customer of ours. They are a forex broker technology company, so they host the infrastructure of all the forex companies. It's a big global company. I can say the name because it was published in the news throughout the process. It's PrimeXM. So hackers got hacked their MT4, MT5 hosted systems, and they tried to encrypt all of their data. We got in, we engaged our incident response team, and we tried to remediate the issues from the hackers. Because of the footprint of the company, it was large footprint. We also engaged some other cybersecurity companies from the big four industries, where we coordinate the whole process very effectively in a very timely manner. And that was a big plus for us, demonstrating our ability for digital forensics and incident response. Another good project that we had in 2021, we got a contract for a high-risk organization where we designed from scratch their security architecture, their whole environment, and we created not an air-gap network, but we also always assumed breach. It means that, okay, one day someone is going to get hacked. What can we do? The only thing that you can do is block access to the outside. So we assume breached and block the access to the outside. Until now, 4 years down the road, our SOC only triggered twice for that global entity. They have branches in around 70 countries. And all of the 2 incidents were user trying to do things that they were not supposed to do, like inserting USBs that were not approved by the company. So I think that's a very big plus for our expertise. If Black Hat, Las Vegas, we are demonstrating this year again for the second time one of our tools. It's called the Dead Matter. It's a credential extraction tool where it's used by incident response teams to extract from memory credentials. It's very similar to Mimikatz, but Mimikatz gets detected by most of the security solutions. Our tool cannot be blocked because of its nature. So it's a very good demonstration happening in beginning of August in Black Hat Las Vegas. And we also demonstrated another tool back in 2020. It was called the Overlord. It's red team automation where you can deploy within 2-3 minutes a full infrastructure for attacking, for phishing, C2 servers, email servers, deployed all over DigitalOcean, Hetzner, GoDaddy, and so on. These are two good tools that our R&D department made the last few years.
Amazing. So you also do it in surface, but you also have solutions that you've created that helps, companies and of course your teams to do the job much better than others, right?
Yes, we have great expertise on developing our own tools, our own payloads. Yes, we use off-the-shelf software for our engagements, but we also craft our own 0 days, our own Trojans, let's say, which we use in our engagements. So it's not off the shelf.
Amazing. And I want to ask you also, here in the GCC, what do you feel that the most important things for the GCC companies to know, what they should consider when they're hiring a cybersecurity agency?
It's very similar to what I said before. They have to demonstrate that they can deliver a meaningful report, not a report with a lot of findings, logs, and screenshots. They have to be able to filter all the things that they were not supposed to be into the report, have a very small report, along with the remediation actions. It's not just giving a report, we found this, this has a 10 score, this has a 5 score, this is high, this is low. You have to help the IT teams to also solve those problems. It's very important the before and the after. That cybersecurity team has to come again after you fix your high critical issues and retest them. So you are sure that you covered all the issues that you had to do. And we're always, you have to be next to your customer. It's not one-time project. Customers like to have support. They like to have someone that they can call when they have something urgent or critical. So it's more on the human factor, I believe.
Definitely. Michael, listen, we're coming to the end of this episode. It's been fascinating and really, really interesting. There is anything else you would like to share with that audience before we finish?
It doesn't matter what size of company you are, if you're a private, government, public sector, or critical infrastructure, the security appetite must be the same. You have to think in a secure way before you take any decision. And it's not only for the technical people, it has to start from the management. Okay, this investment I want to do, is it going to improve my security? How does it translate to my business? Am I just throwing money into a pit hole without any return or not? So this question has to come from small companies up to the big enterprises.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. I think that companies are just now trying to understand this field of cybersecurity, and I feel that whoever listens to this episode may get a little bit better image. Michael Nicolau, thank you so much for coming to this episode.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.